I've lost count, honestly, of what episode number we're on, but it's promised to be a fantastic episode because we have Letina here with us, who is a mindset coach. What is a mindset coach? We're all going to find that out today, including myself, because I just think the concept is fascinating. But from my understanding, it touches on a lot of the self-discovery, self-awareness process. And Letina here is our own little expert who is going to share some information with us as entrepreneurs and business owners to understand the value of self and, making sure that we are taken care of in the process of trying to run an enterprise, a business, for us, for our families, for our loved ones. And I felt that it was really important to have somebody like you come on board from a very personal perspective, because there is person before business.
Correct.
So welcome, Letina. Thank you for agreeing to be with the show today. Tell us, what is a mindset coach?
Well, in a nutshell, a mindset coach is someone who supports you, guides you to unpack belief systems that do not serve you.
Right. So I think, my first question when I heard of it, I'm like, okay, what is the difference between somebody like yourself versus a psychologist or a therapist per se?
Right. So coaches guide. They never tell you what to do. They actually ask very powerful questions that allow you to answer honestly, which gives you the power to see your co-creative power in your situation. Right. So there's no do this, do that. It's asking powerful questions and then the client answers. Versus a therapist, they do a lot of background work, as in, they go back to things that happened in your childhood and they focus from the past come up. And a coach focuses on where you are right now to move forward.
What processes you had to go through as a person individually to get to the point where you feel comfortable to venture into this as a business and to provide this as a service to persons?
Well, definitely experience, right? Because in order to coach anybody, because remember, we're not telling people what to do.
Right.
In order to coach somebody, you need to be just a couple of steps ahead, right? And this is in any space. That's one. Second of all, gratefully, my background is in psychology. So I did that in school. And I think my genuine love and desire for the transformation that I experienced when I shifted my belief systems. So that in itself was, the go for, do it.
Yeah.
And I had this resounding pull that I tried to ignore before I got into this space. And well, here I am. So.
What was the point? Because I remember, we follow each other from since UE days, right? And I remember, I would see a post and I'm like, oh, Letina's so cute. She's doing such really nice inspirational stuff. And then there was a point where I just shifted completely to this is not something I'm doing for fun anymore. This has a business structure to it. This is something that I'm pursuing professionally. And I want people to know that based on how I'm packaging it. So at what point for you did it become essential to provide this as a service to other people?
Well, that's funny. So a little backstory. I think at the end of 2018, right? I was like, I want to do a business just like that, right? And the most random things came up. I want to be make dog clothes, have a Mommy and Me brand, making clothes for my daughter and I. But throughout most of 2018, I was doing a complete deep dive into my own transformation in terms of my mindset and my beliefs and gratitude and affirmations and all that.
Yeah.
And I hired a life coach.
Wow.
At the end of 2018. Well, actually, I did a course in August with a local life coach. And then I started to do one-on-one coaching with her. So I'm there sifting through dog clothes business and Mommy and Me business. And then I'm like, but I have this system here that has been completely impactful for me.
Right.
That I created.
Yeah.
So the starting point was, I'm just going to make this available for other people because I am not the only one. It must have somebody else who's going through the same thing or who've gone through the same thing that I have and I could support.
The fact that you listened to yourself and you actually took the time to tune into what you were feeling and what you were thinking, and then you moved to action it, right? You found a life coach. That's a huge step in itself. The average person not going to sit down and be like, oh, I really lost in life. Let me go find somebody to help,
Right.
So, in that process of you doing that with that person, what are some of the introductions, I guess, to mindset that made it clear to you that this is something that you needed, but also that other people needed as well?
Gratitude, genuine gratitude at a core level is so fundamental to actually realize or to feel a shift in your mood, to feel a shift in your being, right, in your state. And gratitude was one of the things that I struggle with. And I always tell people to just be like, thank you, and go about it is it doesn't have the same power and the same impact that saying thank you from a core level you have,
Right.
because you actually feel a shift in your emotion. That shift, it opens you up to this flow of abundance. And when I started my journey, that was the first, like, oh wait, there's more to life than what I was complaining and fussing about.
Yeah.
And it only became more because I started to genuinely be grateful for it. So it's not that anything changed. But just being in that different mindset is
Right.
where things just started to move and flow.
Yeah.
So a life coach just dropped in my Instagram page. I'm like, who is this lady?
Yeah.
And I just started to follow her, take her in, and of course, gratefully, I had the resources to support. So I invested in her stuff, and that's in that space. When you decide you're going to have a coach, anybody, a life coach, a mindset coach, coach is coach, right? The point is, open yourself. Open your, like, you're not here to play. You're here to realize where you're at, where you're trying to be, and what action steps you could actually take to get there.
In your opinion, who are the people that ideally would benefit from getting or forming a relationship with somebody like a mindset coach or a life coach?
Definitely somebody who's tired of being tired, right? In a
That's
nutshell.
right.
You're tired of being tired when your desire to change outweighs your desire to remain the same. So when you're in that space where you're like, okay, I've been doing all this work, I've been trying my hardest, I've been going or I've not been going, and I am ready to commit to myself, then you decide, hey, to reach out. So I think at 2018, in August 2018, I had gotten to that point. I
Yeah.
was like, all right, Letina, so you see what's possible. Because you see how gratitude completely impact your life. You know there's more. To be in this, victim space continuously in there is not going to serve you or the coach.
Right. They always say your environment is a reflection of your mindset and your mind and where you're at in life. And
Right.
like we were talking earlier, and you mentioned something so powerful about where you choose to be or where you are or where you exist in your whole aura and being is predominantly based on where you see yourself positioned.
Correct.
And so if you think negative thoughts, you're going to stay in a negative space. What are some of the recommendations you would make in cases like that where you have persons coming to you who want to make the change, yes, but they just don't know where to start?
Highlight your beliefs. So the thing is, just as you said, right? So what you said, it basically was whatever we believe to be true is a reflection in our reality.
Right.
Right? So if you are, finances or your relationships or your job or the way that you feel, right? Those things are not serving you. Don't feel good about it. When you look at your reality, you're like, my life is such crap right now. Highlight what are the things you believe to be true. So if you're in a relationship that is toxic and hard and whatever, they're most likely you have a belief system that relationships are hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you believe that money is hard to come by.
Yeah.
Or you believe that I will never get a job. Or you believe that only this type of person could get access to this type of thing. So that means that this is going to be my cup until I die. Just by having those specific beliefs, it is going to manifest. It is going to become your reality. And that philosophy, of course, in a big, big way determines the difference between A and B. If you look at a family, right? Well, you come from a big family.
Yeah.
So you have one sibling who is thriving, just doing the most, life seems really good. And then you have another one who's just like,
Struggling.
and you're like, what happened to these two? They come from the same home, same parents, same opportunities. And if you have the conversation with two of them, both of them believe two different things.
So it starts with your beliefs.
Of course, it starts with your belief, and that belief then transcends into your value system. Then whatever your value system is, it transcends into the action steps that you take or don't take.
Yeah.
And then your action steps are going to show in your reality.
Right.
But in addition to all of that, your emotions play a part too. So it's not just beliefs. The universe, and this is where we get into all the spirituality, the universe doesn't know based on thoughts. It's frequency, and the emotions give that frequency. So you believe with your whole heart and soul that you are the most unattractive person in this world.
Right.
And you feel it, like it hurts to your core. Everybody else is going to think so too.
Yeah, you're going to attract that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
And you made the point about family, right? Family members having completely on different sides of the spectrum. I'm from a huge family,
Right.
and anybody can look at all of us and see huge differences.
Right.
And I think it's really because of our schooling, honestly, because we
Right.
all went to very different schools and we're exposed to different types of people. So I guess the people who you surround yourself with too, I mean, you hear the saying, right? Show me
Right.
your friends and I'll tell you who you are. It speaks to how powerful that energy is around you and how you can absorb that or deflect it depending on where your mindset is.
100%, right?
Right.
And to speak to that, right? people in specific environments will have specific belief systems.
Right.
And they would see things from a specific angle. And because we are social beings who adapt and we learn subliminally and we learn through interaction and we learn just from, just being in a particular spaces, you would learn beliefs. That's called conditioning.
Right.
So as adults, a lot of us, every single one of us, myself included, even knowing as much as I know, it's been a journey, right? There is so much deconditioning to do, Patrice. So much. Because you realize as an adult, hey, why is my life like this? Why do I have specific patterns of behavior, specific belief systems? It's from our conditioning. The school that we went, the church that we was in, the parents, their belief systems, etc., practically imposed on us from small, come all the way up. And then, of course, with a young adulthood, etc., we have our own personal experiences that then shape our beliefs. And so to speak to that entire situation, which, you say is the schooling and is the environment, yes. But definitely because of the beliefs that these people have, that just passed on.
So how do you begin to break the habit then, or to break or redefine your belief system?
Right.
It's one thing to identify, or when you really pick up on, I guess, through people like yourself, on the areas you're struggling with, or the beliefs that you have that have you where you are. But what is the answer to come up to that?
To be honest, that is layers, right?
Yeah.
It definitely is layers. When you highlight the negative beliefs that you have that aren't serving you, then ask yourself, what do I want to believe?
Yeah.
What do I want to actually be true? And then you reframe the statements. Then you make statements that feel good, and you mightn't believe it, of course, right? Some things you would say and it just doesn't feel okay because your original belief system is so deep-rooted, so ingrained that to believe anything else is like, what? That makes no sense, as a lie. The starting point for the most basic would be, what do I want to believe now? And reframe that. And it's an actual conscious decision for you every single day to affirm these new beliefs. And in that space is practically the journey of inner work. Inner work doesn't end, right? Because we all have the deconditioning to do. But in that space is where you would start to recognize the self-awareness is a thing that you need to have.
Yeah.
Self-discovery becomes completely necessary because self-discovery is that. You having to unpack the good, the bad, the ugly, decide what it is where it is you want to go, who it is you want to be, the inner work that you have to finally decide to sit with.
What is the final destination, I guess, if you have gotten to the point, and I love that word decondition, right? That is, I mean, I couldn't think of a more perfect word to use to break you down entirely of all the things that you have built over years and years and decades of your life to be who you are today, and then to, one, acknowledge that, and then two, work towards reconfiguring that so that you become a better person. So do you ever get to a final destination, or is that always going to be a work in progress?
I believe self-discovery is completely a work in progress. It is something that you're going to do until you die. But the thing is because it's not a destination, right? It's a journey. But the thing with that is that every next level, there will be deconditioning, but then there would be a learning and a appreciation from who you are in that current situation. So that's the difference, right? A lot of people, when we start our self-discovery journey, is with this desire and this pull to be more and to be better than who I currently am. But as you go through the self-discovery process, which is until you die, at every junction, although there's desire to be more, you are still perfectly okay with who you are just as you are.
We were talking as well about the 3 different categories that people can fall into based on their mindset, right? You can break it down for the people to completely understand where they might necessarily fall into at this stage in their life.
Right. So I would speak to those who believe that life happens to me. So it's a victim mindset. You're like, oh my God, you complain all the time. You blame everybody else for your situations. You take no responsibility. You literally say the government do this, my mother do that, my business do that. It's the customer fault, and you're just, everything is everybody else, right? And then you have life happens for me. And that's somebody who's like, you're more consciously aware. You realize that you have co-creative power in this space. You realize that, okay, based on what I think, based on what I feel, it literally puts a particular energy out there that allows me to manifest the type of things that I want. And then you have the life happens through me people. And that is definitely those who are more consciously aware. The light workers, the healers, the people who are very connected to source or God or their spirituality is very much there. And in my belief, I know that those people are persons who very grounded in who they are,
Right.
and recognize the abundance and the power that they have as their actual birthright to create the type of life that they want. Even in that spirituality, like when I say spirituality, that could be you and I. We don't have to be a preacher or a pundit or a monk. It doesn't have to be that. But I mean grounded in yourself, connected to source on a different level, that it actually emanates thoroughly through your brand, through your business, through what it is you do and how you show up in your life, how you show up in the world.
Yeah.
Right? So when I say spirituality, I don't speak to
Religion.
no, I don't speak to religion ever. I speak to you as a human being connected to source, recognizing what your innate power is and gift to this world is. So yeah.
Well, so let me translate that over into the business world. People who have mental blocks with, they have this business idea and they don't really know what to do to push forward with it, or they're already cemented in a business but they're stuck because they feel like they're going and nothing is happening.
Right.
Where does the shift need to happen in those cases for
Oh
people?
wow, Patrice, that is such a loaded question. Well, to speak to the first part, action brings clarity.
Right.
So you feel stuck and you feel as though, hey, I have all these ideas, I'm not moving anywhere. Well, sis, you need to take action, right? You need to do something. It doesn't matter what it is. For me, as a personal brand, we always think everybody else have the answers. We're always looking outside for the inspiration. We scrolling through this one page to see what this one doing. So maybe I could get an idea here.
Yeah.
Maybe I could model this one. Maybe I could do this. When the truth and the fact, if you would sit with yourself, right, and allow yourself to go through that self-discovery process and that self-awareness process, you would realize that you already know the answers, right? So all that confusion requires that you just tune in and take action. And it's called taking inspired, messy action. You don't have to have all that
Perfect, that's
completely,
that.
exactly. You don't have to have this 5-year plan. You have a desire, it lights you up. You might even have the vision fully in black and white, but there's a feeling attached to that vision that you want. In order to get there, you need to take action. As it pertains to the mental block, that is something where you need to take time to invest in yourself, to sit with where did this come from? Why do I feel this way? And 99% of the time is fear-based.
Right.
What are the fears? And you need to pay attention to what those fears are. They have some unique fears. Well, some fears that come up for, I guess, majority of the population. The fear of not being ready, not being adequate. The fear of, am I living a purposeful and meaningful life? Fear of failure, right? So when these fears come up, which are usually the root of majority of our mental blocks, we need to sit with it. We need to acknowledge, okay, this is why she's here. Well, my fear, her name is Shelley, right?
Give it a name.
Yeah, like identify to
Yeah.
pull that, to take that authority from it. You recognize this is why I'm sticking. This is why I'm not moving forward. And then, well, you have to get the tools and the things that you need to do to work through that. And it's here to serve us, but it's not here to dictate us.
Yeah.
So learning to manage that is very integral to move forward in terms of the mental blocks.
I've heard the saying, some people are afraid of being successful, right? And I never completely caught it because I'm like, why would people be afraid of success? And then sometimes when I sit with the thoughts, I'm like, there's certain things I want to do, and I know I can't do it, but something isn't clicking to get it done. Am I afraid of being successful? And then if that's the case, why?
Right.
Like, why does that happen to people?
Yeah. Well, I could speak to that, right? So the truth is, sometimes we may have had experiences when we were younger where we were successful or where we were highlighted, you probably were shamed for it. Right? Like if you're somebody take time and you think about it, you may have an experience where, at school, you're top your class, and instead of you being praised for it, your teacher was like, you cheat. Or somebody telling you that, oh God, you always the bookworm, you always the smarty pants. Why it is you don't just play outside? And then, of course, it also depends on what you see successful people as.
Right.
Because if you see successful people as, no time for their family, they always spending all their money, they snobby, they this, they that, then you, of course, will have a resistance to be successful because you believe successful people are a certain type of way. So all of that is the unpacking, right? And practically just, shrink you for thriving.
Right.
And that happens as a child, right? Or at some points in your life. So, of course, when you branch out and you get older, whatever the case is, and there are certain things, certain blockages that's taking place, it's a good idea to go back to where this came from, right? And that is where the reparenting comes from. Reparenting our inner child, because it's little Patrice, little Letina, who is freaking out about being seen, being visible, being successful.
Yeah, you touched on something just now about mental health, right? And especially for the younger generations, we're looking at millennials, we're looking at people in the early 20s, late teens, etc. And you find, or you hear a lot of stories of people who are suffering with, young people suffering with things like anxiety, depression. How do they kind of start steering into a direction that helps them get better?
Anxiety comes from uncertainty, right? So uncertainty of the future or uncertainty from the past, right? So we're not living here. We're not in this very moment when it is we are anxious, right? And that again would require that self-discovery and that self-awareness for you to be able to sit and tap into, why am I feeling this way? So a good thing that people who probably who are experiencing like anxiety or depression right now, you sit with that. What am I feeling? Do I want to feel like this? Do I want to continue feeling like this? Then you ask yourself, well, what could I do? What could I do to feel the type of way that I want to feel? And there's a three question thing that you ask yourself, you journal about it. And it allows you to see where you are, where it is you're trying to go, and what it is you could actually do, right? And of course, if things are so severe where it's preventing you from, doing daily tasks, etc., then seek professional help.
Right.
You don't have
and
nobody.
that's okay to do that as well.
Of
and
course,
to ask.
nobody has to sit and just deal with things. Like, just like you have doctors for your throat and your toe and your hair and your head, like there are doctors and professionals to help you with that emotional and mental support that you need. So if you've been working at it for some time and it's not shifting, then seek help. 100%. I mean, I'd never forget, bless her soul, when I first had my daughter, I had mild postpartum, right? Gratefully, I had the awareness, the self-awareness, that I was like, something doesn't feel correct here. And I sought help, and I had a therapist for the first couple months after I had my daughter that allowed me to navigate Millien and, this depression that I was feeling or whatever. And she provided the tools that allowed me to create that bond that I wasn't having with my child at that time. So there is the stereotype or the
stigma against
mental health and therapy and coaching. Like, if you want to stay where you are, continue with that.
Right.
If you want to move past, because that is the point of having that support, it would help you quicker move from where you are to where you want to be. Then invest in that, because it's for you.
For people who are parents, for instance, right, young entrepreneurs, they have a special type of struggle, especially now with COVID and what's happening. What are some of the things you've seen people struggling with in this time now, and what are some of the recommendations you would make to help them kind of stay through that and survive?
Right. Well, I mean, being in that specific situation myself, because I'm a mom, I have a 6-year-old, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Part of parenting a child is to take care of yourself, right? And I know that, especially in our culture, that's not a philosophy that people really stand by, right? They will do and do and do and do and give every single thing to their child, and then they do without. And then when the child leaves for school, they by themselves, and then they realize they're 40-something years, they never do nothing for their life, they never finish school, and then is a lot of, I don't want to say resentment, but a lot of pain and a lot of hurt. So in this time, like parents, you all need to take time to check for yourself. And that, I don't mean check for yourself, go get a pedicure. Of course, you could do that if you feel like, right? But I mean your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. Like, now is the time for you to be grounded so that you could be in a full space to give to your babies, to give to your children. If that is just a dedication of 15 minutes, 5 minutes for the day, take that time to ground yourself so that you could fill yourself to pour to give to these kids. And then, of course, realize that we can't go imposing all our beliefs and all our things on these kids. Like, you have to be open to realize that this generation of kids, they more emotionally, mentally, spiritually aware. Now we were 20 and 30 years ago. Right? Far less for the older generation. So definitely be gentle on yourself, be gentle on your kids, and make time to fill yourself up.
You spoke about meditation being one of the go-to activities. You mentioned journaling as well. Are there a list of other activities that you would typically refer people to if they are in a space where they need to start breaking that cycle?
Yeah, visualization. So journaling might be everybody's thing, but there are some people who could visualize, right? They do a lot of visualization. So sit with your visions, like where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be? And literally start to tap into those feelings, because when you have that thought, when you imagine like that, you immediately start to feel a particular type of way and honor that.
Right. So we have the visualization. You would recommend that people in some cases journal.
Definitely journal.
You provide journals as well as part of your service too, or as a product that you sell.
Right.
What inspired you to design the book in that way?
Well, that is called a guided journal, right? So of course they have regular journal. It's just a book, blank page, and you just write.
Yeah.
So that was because I did a lot of free writing, and you could journal free writing, and I recommend that for any starter person who, where to start, you just write. There's no right or wrong, right? But guided journal was something I created because I realized I was writing, free writing, whole day, whole night, but then to what end?
Right.
So then I created that system that actually was very intentional when I would get up in the morning and before I go to bed. So that's how that became a system. And then you have prompts, which again is asking specific questions that would allow you to answer specific answers, which would then bring a space of awareness. And you're like, oh, light bulb.
Yeah.
Right? So that is why that is guided.
And it taps into that basic concept of if you think of something, one of the best ways to kind of help actualize it is to write it down, right? Like if you actually take the time, not only that you're relieving your mind of the space it takes up just consuming the different versions and variations of the thoughts, you're putting it out of your brain into a space that you can actually see on a repeated basis. And there's power in that in itself, right? Are there other things like that in terms of your tools or the
a lot of my one-on-one support, they have customized prompts for persons, who are different spaces in their life. Of course, they have the self-discovery. There are specific prompts that I would give clients to support them in different areas of their life.
I think you hold the model of what you're doing is genius. I think it's very brilliant, and I think it's something that a lot of people very few things impress me in life. I'll tell you one time. Very, very few things. But your stuff, even the way that it's packaged, for anybody who might be interested in getting in the field of coaching. First of all, I don't even think I know much local mindset coaches, right? Like they fall in other categories of life coach, personal development coach, self-development coach. But nobody has gone to the degree where, as far as I personally know, that they have centered their schooling and their teachings around that depth of understanding yourself and using your mental space to take you to the next level, So that in itself is commendable, right?
If you have something in your hand and you're holding on to something, right? And somebody trying to give you something, there's no space for you to get it if your hands are full, right? But if you have a particular idea, a particular vision, you have something that's resting on your chest that you want to bring to life, right? And this will go into the masculine energy and the feminine energy and things, right? So the masculine energy says do. The feminine energy says let God do. Let's just give that space, let's give that room. The two can't work without each other. But a lot of people are in this masculine, I need to do more, I need to be more, I need to show up more, I need to sell more and more and more, and they like a fly hitting a glass window trying to get out when the door is right there.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have that perspective and you recognize that analogy, plenty of people who's in that space, if you would just stop.
Yeah.
You realize the door right there.
Yeah. And it's not to stop to say, like, you just let go of it entirely and move on to something else. It's just to give it a little breather. Give it a couple of days. Just think of something else. Do something else.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed as to how it would just strike like lightning. It's just flash across your mind. The services you provide to people, whether it's one-on-one, do you do group sessions, etc. Because I'm sure there are people who would see this and be very inspired after. So, who are you not mindset coach? I call Letina. So, just to kind of break it down for people so that they have a very clear understanding as to what you provide in your business.
So I do one-on-one coaching, so that is 12 weeks, and then I do have the option for 6 weeks as well. And then I've recently launched my group coaching program. So this is my first group coaching program, and this runs for 10 weeks. Of course, when that relaunches, I'll let you guys know. And I am this close to launching my academy, so this is my first official announcement.
Very nice.
Yes, where I would have online courses.
The True Growth Caribbean is the name of your business, and you are she's very active on social media, guys. She gives a lot of nuggets and tidbits throughout the days and the weeks on different topics related to self-discovery and self-awareness. So you'll definitely want to go check her out. I think what you're doing is fantastic. It is remarkable. It is unique, and it is needed, most importantly.
Thanks,
so thank you for coming and sharing it, and thank you for giving yourself the space to get to the place where you are very grounded in where you are right now.
Yeah.
Don't be a stranger. I won't let you be a stranger, because
Right.
I'm sure as you launch the academy and you have some more things coming
I
out,
would let you know.
yeah, we will could definitely do a deep dive into other things that you have going
sure.
on as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, we'll see you all in whatever the next episode number is that I can't remember right now, but it's happening. So we'll see you all then.
Bye.